Have you heard? Your road to eliminating the hassles of life start right now. Hello everyone, I'm Deb Courtney. So glad you're here. That's the topic I want to talk to you about in regards to this video today. These are things that I've been through. Every one of these videos are things that at some point in time in my life, to some degree or another, that I have experienced and dealt with. And there are other things that I haven't talked to you about yet that I have experienced and dealt with. But I want to talk in this video in regards to eliminating the hassles of life. Some of the things. There are ways to do that. And sometimes it may not be too pretty, but it's necessary. And it's necessary for you and them and the other person, whoever that might be. So the first thing that I want to say that I learned is to extend boundaries. Sometimes that can be hard to do, especially if it's with a family member. Because you do have members of your family that might like to take advantage of every opportunity that they can to see how far you will go with them in regards to a certain situation. Whether it's financially, that's probably the biggest thing, is financially. And you got to decide, how far am I going to allow them to take me financially? Sometimes people, and I've seen this in my family and other families, that they'll do anything that they can for an individual to help them. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, after a while, it gets to be old, and you seem to think they're just taking advantage of the situation, and a lot of times they are. And so there comes a time when you have to set a boundary. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't beat yourself up about it in setting boundaries with people that, if time and time again, you have to help them through things, help them out, and they don't seem to do the necessary things that they need to do in order to lift themselves up to get on past the place where they need to be at. Now I know that if you have a teenager or something like that that's just now starting out, you normally end up helping them out more so than you would somebody that's in their 40s and 50s. You would think that by the time they've gotten into their 40s and 50s, they would have it figured out by then. Some do, some don't. So it's nothing to beat yourself up about. You have a time frame in your own self, in your own spirit, in your own unction, that you believe, after talking to a person about XYZ and how to handle it, that by a certain age, hopefully, and they're smart, and they're capable. There's no physical limitations. There's no mental limitations. They basically get in the way of themselves of doing what they need to do in order to make their life better. They basically don't get their thinking up. They don't come out of extenuating circumstances that would bring them up to another level, to where that's really where they want to be. However, they're depending on somebody else to take them there. So I am saying I've had to deal with this and to set boundaries with people and have the conversation with them. Don't be ugly with them. Make sure that when the time comes, sometimes you have to have the conversation with them before you have the conversation with them. You know what I mean? And so that helps. And then sometimes you think, and when you do that, you say, no, I don't want to say that to them like that. Let's word it like this. So yes, so to help to eliminate the hassles of life, sometimes you do have to set extended boundaries. A lot of times it has to be more with family and friends. Sometimes it has to do with coworkers, professional, your career situation. But you know what you're willing to tolerate and what you're not willing to tolerate. And a lot of times I have learned that if I go ahead and tell the individual what I'm going to tolerate and what I'm not going to tolerate, then I have eliminated a lot of hassle in regards to that relationship. Just saying. Don't work for everybody, don't work with everybody, but I have worked it that way. And so that brings me to the next point. Stop suffering, tolerating, hoping, waiting, shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Stop tolerating those things. Put a stop to it. And you say, well, Deborah, I mean, this is my son, this is my daughter, this is my sister, this is my brother, this is my mom, this is my dad that I'm dealing with. Okay, not a problem. Then you haven't had enough communication with them in regards to whatever it is, because it's not being a win-win situation. It's a win for them and a lose for you. I've been there. Sometimes it takes time. I'm not saying that anytime a situation comes up, okay, this is what we can do. This is what I can do. Sometimes that works. That's when you set the boundaries. Or sometimes when you set a boundary and you tell an individual, this is what I can do. This is how I can do it. This is what I can do, how I can do, when I can do it, where I can do the who, what, when, where, how, and why, all that. Sometimes you have to do that for each and every circumstance. Okay? So, if possible, there again, if possible, it further depends upon you. Because see, you really can't depend upon anybody else but you. You say, well, I can depend on my husband. I can depend on my son. I can depend on mom and dad. You can. You probably can. I could to a certain degree. But I'm here to tell you, not everybody is going to go all the way with you in life. I'm talking about some people pass away. They're not there for you. Their journey will not go all the way with you in your life and the things that you'll have that come up in your life that you'll have to deal with. No human being can do that. You may depend, they may be able to do a lot of things. They may be able to help you as financially as much as you need helping with. Not a problem. But there will come a time, sometimes in in your life when you have to say, this is something I got to go forward on my own. This is something I got to put a boundary in regards to this person, simply because I need to learn this for myself, or they need to learn this for themselves, because sometimes we're enabling them. We're being a crutch for them. So there's a lot that's going on as far as eliminating the hassles of life. And it's not easy. But what you want, and what I always went back to, is what works for you and what works for me. A lot of people get themselves overly extended financially in trying to help out another family member. A lot of people will go buy, let's say, an automobile, for instance. Just take that simple thing. They'll finance. They'll go to the car dealership. There's a daughter or son needs a truck or a car to go to and from work. Okay, I'm going to help you get the car or the truck that you need. I'm going to go to the dealership. I have good credit. I can do this and help you buy it, and so forth and so on. And you can pay me, and then we'll pay them if you pay monthly payments on it, or you pay so much down or whatever. Or I'm just going to go on and buy the truck complete for you. It's paid for. It's done. You just pay me back a certain amount of money a month. Not a problem with that, as long as it's a win-win situation for you and them. A lot of times it's not. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not. So you have to be prepared for that. And you have to ask yourself them questions. And you have to have the conversation with them and let them know where you're at. Sometimes you're not able to do it. Sometimes you just you may have the credit, but you don't have the financial situation to go out and pay $50,000, $60,000 for a truck, an automobile, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Piece of equipment or whatever. Sometimes people can have a track record. And if you know their track record, and they've been around for a while, their track record is not that good. They may have borrowed from every friend that they know their whole life and not paid anybody back. I still have people. Me and Sam loaned them money, whatever, $1,500, $1,200, $2,000, $5,000, whatever it was. And they say, I'll pay you back. We haven't seen them. I haven't seen them yet. So you have to understand that when you get yourself in a situation, you got to be, number one, be sure that you can do it, or have the conversation. Say, you know what? I can't go there. Just can't do it. Set a boundary. Stop your suffering. Stop hoping. Stop waiting for something. Stop tolerating something. Because all it really brings to you is disappointment, disgust, and it's not a win-win situation. And it makes things worse. So, the next thing I would say is complete unresolved matters, complete unfinished business. Sometimes that's easier said to do than it is. It's easier said than done. That's what I meant to say. It's easier said than done if you can. Because sometimes you can't complete unresolved matters. Sometimes you can't complete unfinished business for whatever reasons. I have experienced this through a lot of different reasons. And the final reason would be through death. The reason you can't complete unresolved matters or unfinished business, maybe the individual has passed away. And that's no longer an option. Then that's when you just look at it for what it is. You take it as a lesson learned. If possible, forgive the person. It's more, the forgiveness doesn't disregard what they've done, what they've said, how much of an advantage they've taken with you, or anything of that nature. It doesn't disregard that, but what it does do is set you free. And then just keep going about your life. That's a lesson learned. You've learned that lesson. You know what to do or what not to do should something else come in your life down the road. And so it's just a part of maturity and relationships that we find ourselves in. Sometimes we can complete unresolved matters. Sometimes we can't. But there's a way to do anything. There's a right way and a wrong way to do anything, even an unresolved matter or unfinished business. Somebody owes you money, whatever the situation is. Take the time to study the matter. Take the time to even talk to somebody about it. They don't have to know who the person is. They don't have to know all the circumstances. But a lot of times it helps you to process it. This is for you. It helps you to process it when you talk about it with someone else. They can, and you stay in an environment of exploration and discovery as you're talking about it. Because you can say, well, what do you think about this? Because it may be an idea you thought, well, I might approach them this way. Well, I think I'm going to approach them that way. But you can, some person might say, well, I don't know about approaching a person like that. Because what if they, and so that's where you have that's where you have the exploration and discovery conversation about, should I do it this way? Should I do it that way? Have you thought about it this? Have you thought about the reaction this way? Have you thought about what the reaction would be if you did it that way? And so forth. So that it helps you to process it when you talk to someone about it. If you have to go to a counselor, if you have a coach, a family member, maybe it's just a friend. Somebody that you feel confident in talking about eliminating a hassle in your life and things that you have to deal with. And then the last thing is just stop having problems. Really. Stop having them. You know, you get to make your choices. I know. This is so true. I've done it 100 jillion times. And this is what I tell people. You know, you get to make your choices, but you don't get to choose your circumstances. Nope. It is so true. Make sure about that. Stop having problems. And there's a way to go about doing it. I know people in my life, close people, that they don't want the hassle. They don't want the problem of having to hunt somebody down to collect their money. They don't want the hassle of having to do this in order to obtain that. So what they do is they just say, nope, I don't do that. Nope, I don't loan money out. Nope, I don't do whatever. They just don't have that. They just don't do it. They've set a boundary and they've stopped having problems. It works. I've done it. Nope. Not loaning money out anymore. I've loaned money. I've got, I don't know how much money owed to me. So I don't loan money anymore. If I'm going to do anything, I'm just going to go ahead and give you the money. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't loan it to them. Just give it to them. If you have the means to do it, and you can do it, and you want to do it, just give it to them. That way, your expectation, if it doesn't come or measure up to what you have experienced in the past with this individual, then you won't be disappointed. I know. Anyways, this is what I have learned about eliminating hassles of my life. I don't know if it helped you or not. I sure hope it did. You may know all about this, and there are other things that you can do. This is by no means or is everything, but these are some of the things that I know that I have used, implemented, and that has worked in my life. So glad you found me. I'm glad I found you. Go out and make it a great day, and I will see you again next week. Bye.